I say fuck the man that lives in the sky.
I could be holding you tonight. Could quit doing wrong, start doing right. You don't care about what I think. Think I'll just stay here and drink. Putting you down don't square no deal. At least you know the way I feel. Take all the money in the bank. Think I'll just stay and drink. Listen close and you can hear that loud jukebox playing in my ear. Ain't no woman gonna change the way I think. Think I'll just stay here and drink.
Oh, yes. Hello, hello, hello. And welcome to the Front Row. Crafty here, coming at you. I am the Front Row Atheist, and I would like to thank you so very much for allotting some of your extremely valuable time to tune in and give a wiggle to that what I am laying down. So, as you could probably tell already from that intro, it is with a heavy heart that I bring you this edition of the Front Row Atheist. Sometimes the word legend gets tossed around a little too easily. Not the case in describing the hag, Merle Haggard. He was actually a legend's legend. The kind that the other legends point to and say, that's who inspired me. That's who I listened to. I am fortunate enough to say I saw Merle live a couple of times. He kicked my ass. Impossible to sum up his life or his career in just a few words or a couple of minutes, so I won't even try. Thank you, Merle Haggard. Thank you for sharing that incredible talent of yours with the rest of us. Of course, being an atheist means I don't believe old Merle, or anyone else for that matter, is in a better or worse place right now. Yeah, sure, it would be real nice to think he's somewhere with Waylon, Johnny, Hank Sr., and Jimmy Rogers, having a jam right now. But just because it's a nice thought doesn't make it so. However, I think what death does, or should remind us all of, is that we have but one short life on this spinning rock. And I bet even at 79, old Merle thought in his last few minutes, boy, that went fast. But he's one guy that made the most of it. Not much of a childhood, little to no money, and he spent most of his teen years in and out of prisons. But he was able to change those proverbial horses in midstream and went on to be the musician and man that he was. And we're all better off for that decision. All right, so yeah, I've had a little layoff since my last video post, and I'm going to be straight up. I had a little life interruptus there. It's all started to kind of work itself back out, but definitely a monkey wrench tossed into my groove. So I do apologize, but it is time to get back to work. I'll tell you, though, I feel like I've kind of been ready and willing to put some new material out. Oh, at least since, last week, but shit. So much stuff has been going on lately. I found it hard to zero in on a single topic or story, you know? Politically, of course, shit is just jumping. And as much as I want to hit on the races and the candidates, it's still going to have to wait a bit, as I really want to stick to what I said when kicking off the Front Row Atheist, and that is, for the time being, focus on the religious side of things. Fortunately, there's plenty of crossover, am I right? We had the Donald and that foot problem of his. Seems he just can't keep it out of his damn mouth. One of these days, the guy's going to need a size 11 ectomy. Before backpedaling feverishly, he commented that women should be punished for having an abortion. To be honest, I'm not sure any commentary is even necessary beyond that, is it? But actually, I do want to dedicate an entire future video, no, not to his stupid-ass comment, but the topic. So rest assured, that one is in the pipeline. And how can one resist the ever-righteous, evangelical, right-wing conservative douchebaggery of Ted Cruz? Looks like he's been busted. I don't know, Ted. I don't know. Ephesians 5:5.
For you may be sure of this, that everyone who is sexually immoral, or impure, or who is covetous, that is, an idolater, has no inheritance in the kingdom of Christ and God.
With insight into the scandal, here's Front Row correspondent Mo Green.
He was banging cocktail waitresses two at a time.
Thanks, Mo. Oh, and just a thought, you might want to skip the massage appointment later on. Just saying. So is anyone else wondering, like I am, just how Mr. Frumpy Pants Needle Dick managed to find 5 women to fuck him when his own daughter can't even stand the sight of him?
Are you taking off?
Yeah, they're going with me.
Hey, let's hop out of my street.
We're taking them.
Ow!
Good John. Good John. Ready? Good John. Good John.
Awkward. Anyway, so what happened to this scandal, huh? I mean, this thing came and went faster than Damone in the pool house with Stacy. Well, what a great film that is. You know, for shits and giggles, how about a few more clips?
So if we don't get some cool rules ourselves, pronto, we'll just be bogus too.
The attitude?
Yeah, the attitude dictates that you don't care whether she comes, stays, lays, or prays. I mean, whatever happens, your toes are still tapping.
Most of them are derelicts, Greg. They sold their bodies to medicine for money. About $30, I think.
25.
Righteous bucks.
This... Oh, wait just a minute.
Doesn't anybody knock anymore?
I think I've made my point with you tonight, huh?
Just tremendous stuff. I hope you enjoyed. Okay, so who knows? Maybe there actually is no truth to the rumors, and Teddy is being faithful to his wife, Heidi, who, by the way, in case you didn't know, is a major player at the organized crime syndicate of Goldman Sachs. Why doesn't that get brought up more? As you all know, I'm as anti-Hillary as you get, and typically sum her up in 2 words: criminal cunt. And where she rightfully gets lambasted for taking millions of Wall Street's dollars for speeches, Cruz is married to one of the upper managers of this criminal organization, and also passed through J.P. Morgan and Merrill Lynch, but apparently it's not newsworthy. Goldman fucking Sachs. Let me read you a quote from Mrs. Cruz. We are at a cultural crossroads in our country. And if we can be in this race to show this country the face of God that we serve, this Christian God that we serve is the foundation of our country. Our country was built on Judeo-Christian values. We are a nation of freedom of religion, but the God of Christianity is the God of freedom, of individual liberty, of choice, and of consequence. There's just so much to despise about this woman. Ted, buddy, you have my permission to bang all the volunteers in all the closets you want. But before I make like the Cruise's pool boy and get into Heidi, dope. No, but I gotta show y'all something. Check this out. Is it just me, or Heidi Cruz and Stifler's mom? Right? I mean, have these two ever been seen in the same room together? Alright, enough of that. So, first off, what the hell does it even mean, show this country the face of God? Seriously, anyone? Bueller? Anyone? I'm drawing a blank. Well, regardless. Once again, no, Heidi, the Christian God is not the foundation of this country. But you are right about being the God of choice and consequence. Choose to believe in me without any evidence, without ever seeing or hearing from me directly, or don't. But if you don't, the consequence is eternal damnation and torture and pain in a lake of hellfire. I'm not sure who first said it, but I've heard it a few times by various atheists over the years. It's the very excellent analogy of the mafia crime boss and the Abrahamic God of the Bible. Hey, you got a nice little business going here. Shame if something would have happened to it. What are you? I tell you what, for a couple of grand a month, you can enroll in our neighborhood protection program, and we'll make sure there won't be any unfortunate accidents. In other words, pay and you don't get hurt. With God, it's pray and you won't get hurt. With hurt being an eternity of pain and suffering. He's actually a lot like the company you work for, Heidi, so I can see why it's a good fit for you. Both are greedy, immoral, evil stains on the planet. Unfortunately, only one is a figment of the people's imagination. Goldman Sachs, of course, has been doing more than their fair share to foster hell right here on Earth for the rest of us. Fraud is their friggin' business model, and I hate to break it to you, Heidi, but if your Jesus did exist, I think it's safe to say that he'd be flipping a few tables over at the GSHQ. What's the latest over there these days? Well, currently being investigated for manipulating the $13 trillion treasury market. Fucking joke. If they ever are, air quotes now, brought to justice, what'll it be? A couple mil fine? I remember back in, 2010, the government was all pounding their chest from the $500 million settlement they got from Goldman Sachs. Hooray! They all shouted, Of course, that year alone, the company paid out $10 billion just in bonuses. But the point I've been failing to get to, though, is what I think irritates me the most about Christians, and especially in this country. And it's just the rampant hypocrisy. I'll be honest, if I was seeing a country filled with people that, by and large, were trying to live according to what at least the popular perception of the Magic Zombie Man was, I wouldn't have nearly the beef I do with them. But they don't. Whether it's Teddy Crucifix spouting his dogmatic bullshit, slamming gays in the Supreme Court and the left for destroying the sanctity of marriage, while breaking the 7th commandment like it was a campaign promise. Or one of the cases in front of the Supreme Court right now. Once again, the BTs, the Bible thumpers, wasting time, money, and resources on utter nonsense, and it's unbridled hypocrisy at its finest. As for the case itself, I think it was summed up best by Wonkit.com writer Snippy, who wrote that, quote, "It involves nuns who are sad they have to sign a tiny piece of paper that lets someone else make sure ladies get slut pills because getting free slut pills was guaranteed to us by Kenyan socialist Muslim Obamacare. The nuns feel that this makes them complicit in lady slut pill taking, and that is just not okay." End quote. Well said, Snippy. Now, I don't want to go down the legal mumbo-jumbo path of the case right now. I'd rather simply focus on the archetype hypocrisy of the plaintiffs, i.e., the Christian nutjobs. As a Christian, I just feel it goes against my belief in the sanctity of life, blah, blah, blah. The sanctity of life, bitches, please. These are the same friggin' people that have absolutely zero issues with 50 cents of every tax dollar they fork over going to the military and supporting what is now never-ending war. Million-plus dead Iraqi civilians over the last 13 years alone. Daily presidential kill list, drone strikes out the wazoo that routinely take out civilians at hospitals, weddings, you name it. I guess it's just the sanctity of unborn American life, huh? Not to mention that while we're spreading democracy through carpet bombing the shit out of a region because we supposedly have the high moral ground, we also ally ourselves with countries and rulers like Saudi Arabia. Women as second-class citizens, death penalty for gayness, adultery, and apostasy. Yes, apostasy, my good Christian folks. Meaning, if a Saudi Muslim finds Christ and someone else finds out, he or she will be put to death. I also seem to recall barely more than a whimper, if that, when not long ago our government was caught dead to rights, torturing the bejesus out of, I don't know, hundreds, thousands. It wasn't speculation. They were caught with the hand in the proverbial cookie jar. Except it wasn't a hand, it was a fist. And it wasn't a cookie jar, it was prisoners' assholes at dinner time. Enhanced rectal nutrition allocation. Fucking doucheholes. None of these things do I see or hear the good Christians of this country protesting. Of course, it doesn't stop at lady slut pills. These shit stains literally want personage to start at the moment the sperm hits the egg. But why stop there? You jack your nut into the toilet? Murderer! That's 100 million counts of homicide, all because you were watching reruns of Three's Company and imagined yourself down at the Regal Beagle with Janet, and one thing led to another, and... yeah. Right. You get my point. These are also the same sanctimonious windbags who at this moment number in the hundreds of thousands, if not millions, all organized and raising and spending millions of dollars, pushing the big, bad government, which, like Hillary, I sure as shit got no love for, but pushing and pushing to get the jizz from your wet dream recognized as a person with rights, all of course in the name of Bronze Age mythology, but couldn't give shit one about the million actually living and breathing homeless kids in this country. Or where's the push to get the government to crack down on the church that has covered up the destruction of tens of thousands of children's lives in this country alone from its twisted, rapist, pedophile priests? See, I've figured out a little something here. And that's that there's basically two types of Christians in this country anyway. Both deserving of our unabridged contempt, but for completely different reasons. The first is your flat-out moronic, fundamentalist evangelical types. Their thinking, or lack thereof, is completely asinine and backwards, but you know what? Typically, they're not hypocrites. I mean, take the Westboro Baptist Church. Downright repulsive fucks with their views on everything. But they're only spouting what the Bible actually says. They're just literally following the doctrine of the friggin' book. But from young earth creation tards like Ken Ham and that snot who was on the Growing Pains show, what the hell's his name? Kirk Cameron, to the bamboozling healing hands of your Benny Hinn types, to the traditional goochers like Patty Robertson. Left to any of those freaking people, we'd be living in Saudi Arabia West and simply subbing in Jesus wherever they have Allah. All praise be His. Allahu Akbar! Let me try that again. Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! Your Type 2 Christian is your watered-down version, your housebroken version when it comes to all the Bible-thumping nonsense. Generally, that is. Most have never read more than a couple of passages from the Bible, and certainly not ever the whole damn thing. Oh, yeah, they go to church, even regularly, pray, maybe even put a Jesus fish on the car. But now these here are mostly those uber hypocrites that I was talking about earlier, and provided just a small sampling of examples of their two-sided ways. But what might be even worse about this group is that they enable the first group. They enable, justify, legitimize, help create, give protection to, and condone by not condemning the ultra-whack jobs. And plus, they naturally keep it all going and growing by breeding and immediately indoctrinating their children. Fortunately, Christianity and Christians have been beaten down enough after 1,600 years, so they are no longer pulling the crap that we're currently seeing from the Islamic world right now in the holy name of Allah. All praise be His. And his warmongering pedophile prophet, Muhammad. Peace be upon him. Right, yeah, that's enough of that. Oh, let's snack bar! Unfortunately, however, we still have a lot of work to do and a long way to go. Just because they're not blowing shit up in the name of Jesus doesn't mean that they're not destructive. Christians would be wise to take a good long look in the mirror. We know that the forefathers created this country as the first secular government on the planet and did so for a reason. We know this was not created as a Christian nation, but without a doubt it has been largely populated, built, and governed by people who call themselves Christians, right? 200 plus years of a vast majority of people who say they believe in peace, loving thy neighbor, and all that hunky-dory stuff, correct? Well, does it show? Is that the sense you get? We have been in some sort of war well over 80-90% of the time the last 100 years. Massive wealth inequality, unpayable debt, and everything, fucking everything, I tell you, in the name of consumption. Consuming more and more and more. Consuming for the sake of consuming. A country of God-fearing Christians that need a bigger house, a bigger car, faster food, bigger and faster, never enough. After all, who gives a flying fuck about the 10-year-old kid over in Malaysia working 20 hours a day, barefoot, for a plug nickel so he can get a bowl of rice, just so we can keep on working, so you Jesus freaks have a designer case to hold your frosted real raspberry flavor Pop-Tarts? It is the ultimate hypocrisy. Make my life better, easier, and more fun, regardless of the consequences on other people's lives or the planet. Just make those consequences the same as my benevolent, all-loving God, so I don't see them. All right, hey, that's it for me. I promise there will be more videos coming, and on a more regular basis. I'm going to let Mr. Merle Haggard take us out. I am the Front Row Atheist. Please do all that cool stuff that helps me out, like subscribing and sharing and shit like that. Until the next time, y'all be good now. You hear?
Drink my beer in a tavern and then sing a little bit of these working man blues.